Joe Biden's appeal back in 2020, whatever appeal it was, is that he was supposedly a big contrast with Donald Trump. If you look at the latest polls from Gallup just before the election, they looked at character dimensions for the various candidates. And what they found is that 66% of American voters thought that Joe Biden was likable, as opposed to 36% who thought that Donald Trump was likable. 52% thought that Joe Biden was trustworthy, as opposed to 40% who thought that Trump was honest and trustworthy. But most importantly, 54% of Americans said that Joe Biden cared about people like them, as opposed to only 45% who said that Donald Trump cared about people like them. Well, this has always been the lie about Joe Biden. He's not honest and trustworthy. He's not particularly likable, and he does not care about anyone outside of his immediate circle. This is why everybody who is a member of the Biden family is rich. If you are inside the circle, he makes you rich. If you are outside the circle, he does not care about you. And he has put this on display a multiplicity of times, from Afghanistan to, most recently, this Lahaina fire that killed at least 100 people. So according to Bloomberg, this Maui fire is the deadliest fire in the United States in 105 years. 93 people at least have been killed. We still have hundreds of people missing. The number of fatalities expected to climb further as authorities continue search and rescue efforts. According to the Hawaii governor, Josh Green, only 3% of the area has been searched. They're still bringing in 12 more cadaver dogs to help with the efforts. That death toll is definitely going to go up. So what is Joe Biden doing during all of this? Now, remember, we have a history in the United States of holding the president of the United States, or even senators from a given state, accountable for natural disasters where they are not really hands-on, like right in the middle of it, just involved. You'll recall, of course, when George W. Bush was perceived as disconnected from the victims of Hurricane Katrina. Here, for example, is a montage of media coverage talking about the evils of George W. Bush when it came to his supposed dereliction of duty during Hurricane Katrina.
This is a quote from an editorial. A better leader would have flown straight to the disaster zone and announced the immediate mobilization of every available resource. The cool, confident, intuitive leadership Bush exhibited in his first term, particularly in the months following 9/11, has vanished. The New York Times, not unexpectedly, kind of chimed in. They said the president showed up a day later than he was needed, and they excoriated him for appearing casual to the point of carelessness. Harsh words coming from FEMA's former disaster response chief, Eric Tolbert, who says the government was not ready and shifted its attention from natural disasters to fighting the war on terror.
Well, George W. Bush did a terrible leadership job during that crisis. He kind of acted like nothing was happening wrong for the first days. He had been in San Diego where he played air guitar, and then he did the famous flyover, being very detached from the devastation, and that photograph that damaged his presidency immensely of him just peering down at the abyss.
But it also was seen in our correspondent just referred to it, President W. Bush, George W. Bush, flying over in Air Force One, not landing. And it was peculiar, wasn't it? Because we thought back to 9/11, we see George W. Bush with the bullhorn addressing the firefighters. This was a man who got the crises when it comes to the public relations, and he lost the touch when it came to Katrina. What happened?
Well, I think it was, again, a breakdown at all levels. And in that particular case, the pilots were instructed not to come in. It would have been more of a complication to bring the airplane in than to land. I think in retrospect, it would have been better just to figure out how to get that plane on the ground there. So he could have been the commander-in-chief.
You remember all of this. And you remember when Ted Cruz was in Cancun for vacation and a freeze hit Texas. And supposedly the senator from Texas had to be on site suffering through the freeze, despite the fact that really this was a state-level issue. Now, again, Hurricane Katrina was a state-level issue. It was the governor's issue, really. It was the mayor's issue when it came to New Orleans. And when it came to what was going on in Texas, that really had very little to do with a senator who has very little power over any of that. But this is the standard to which we hold our presidents of the United States. It's why Barack Obama got big plaudits during Hurricane Sandy when he showed up in New Jersey and got a big old hug from Chris Christie. You remember this? And it's why, of course, George W. Bush got ripped up and down. Well, so how is Joe Biden responding to crises? The answer is he just ignores them. And again, this is not the first time. Remember that time he said he was going to visit East Palestine, Ohio? Remember a train blew up and it sent a bunch of toxic waste into the air? And his own Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, did not show up for quite a while. In fact, Donald Trump beat him there. You remember how Joe Biden said he was going to visit East Palestine, Ohio? Well, it has now been months and months and months. No sign of President Joe Biden. Remember that time where we had a giant crisis on our southern border? You know, like now, because it continues. And Joe Biden still has not made a serious visit to the southern border. This, in fact, is the way that Joe Biden governs. He governs in a way that if it were any other president, it would be treated as the sort of dereliction that it is treated as when it's just not Joe Biden. But as soon as it's Joe Biden, we're all supposed to ignore it. And it really is quite incredible. So a couple of hours he spent a couple of hours on Rehoboth Beach, and he was asked about the rising death toll in Hawaii. This is after he took a 14-day vacation, and then he went back for another 4-day vacation to Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, where he sits on the beach basically by himself, being an old man. And here's a picture of the President of the United States, hundreds of feet away from the photographers, sitting there enjoying his life. He was asked about the rising death toll in Hawaii, and he said no comment. Then he went a-bicycling, which is really important for the President of the United States to be bicycling, obviously. And he was asked about a potential visit to Maui, and he said the same thing that he said about East Palestine, Ohio. He said, we're looking at it. Here was Joe Biden saying, well, no comment. We're looking at it.
Good morning. Will you be going to Maui? Good morning, Madam First Lady.
Can you come talk about Maui, Mr. President?
And bye. Catch you later. Everything is crazy right now. And you need to be able to just calm down and take a breath. The way that I do that is 3 times a day, according to Jewish ritual. I have to pray. But if you're not an Orthodox Jew and you're looking for time in your day to try to, commune with the Almighty and actually get in touch with something greater, Hallow can help you do that. Regardless of your religion, we all need a little more peace in our life. Hallow is an incredible app that offers a unique approach to prayer and meditation. Unlike other meditation apps, Hallow is tailored specifically for people of faith to deepen their relationship with God. The Hallow app is filled with studies, meditations, and reflections that are rooted in Judeo-Christian prayer practices. We have tons of Christians, obviously, who work for our company, and they swear by Hallow. You can pray alongside Mark Wahlberg, Jonathan Rumi, who portrays Jesus in The Chosen, even some world-class athletes. You can access the #1 Christian podcast, Bible in a Year, with Father Mike Schmitz on Hallow. With features like progress tracking and streaks, Hallow helps you stay motivated and make prayer a regular part of your daily routine, as it should be. Set prayer reminders, invite others to pray with you, track your progress along the way. It's going to make your life better in a very material way using Hallow. If you are looking to deepen your relationship with God and improve your mental and emotional well-being, try Hallow for 3 months free at hallow.com/Shapiro. That's hallow.com/Shapiro. Let's talk about Joe Biden's economy. So it's a rough economy out there. If you've been running a business the past several years, it is a tough time to run a business in the United States. This is why you might want to talk to my friends over at Innovation Refunds. They've been helping small businesses that qualify get a business payroll tax refund through the Employee Retention Credit, or ERC. The ERC is a tax refund for businesses that kept employees on payroll for parts of 2020 and 2021. If you own a business with more than 5 employees, you could have money waiting to be claimed. Are you uncertain about your eligibility for the ERC? Innovation Refunds has a team of independent tax attorneys who will collaborate with your CPA to assess your eligibility, ensuring you feel confident before you submit your application. They've already helped thousands of eligible businesses apply for the ERC. Innovation Refunds does not provide tax or legal advice. They work with an independent network of tax professionals and will share information with them to evaluate and process your claims. Head on over to getrefunds.com to determine your eligibility. If you qualify, you could be on your way to receiving money for your business. There's no upfront charge. They don't get paid unless you get paid. Go to getrefunds.com or dial 1-843-REFUNDS. That's getrefunds.com or dial 1-843-REFUNDS. Terms and conditions apply. Getrefunds.com or dial 1-843-REFUNDS. Now, if it's heartless for everybody else, why would it not be heartless for Joe Biden? The answer is it is heartless for Joe Biden. In fact, Joe Biden is now planning to travel to Lake Tahoe, Nevada on Friday, and he's going to spend a week there, leaving the following Thursday. So 14-day vacation, followed by a 4-day vacation in Delaware, followed by a week-long vacation in Lake Tahoe. You wouldn't want to break up his vacation, folks. You wouldn't want him to worry too much about what's going on in Maui. This is not a caring individual. This is a guy who cares only about himself. And this has been true his entire political career. It's why he's a congenital liar. It's why he says things that are untrue on the regular. It's why he lied when he suggested that a drunk driver killed his wife and his daughter in a car crash and the guy wasn't drunk. It is why he goes to veterans' houses and then he tells them, wounded veterans' houses or Gold Star parents or Gold Star spouses, and he tells them that his son Bo died in battle in Iraq or some such nonsense. All Joe Biden cares about is Joe Biden. He is a mean son of a gun. Joe Biden is not, in fact, a caring president. When he says no comment, or when he says we're looking at a visit, or when he says, again, no comment, and then when he goes on more vacations, and we're all supposed to believe this is a person who has wells of empathy. Honestly, this is his entire pitch in 2020. He felt your pain. Now, he wasn't a good actor, so he couldn't do it like Bill Clinton, but people wanted to believe because they believed that Donald Trump didn't feel their pain. Donald Trump, of course, being selfish and narcissistic and all the rest, supposedly. Well, Joe Biden is far more selfish and narcissistic than Donald Trump. He's just quieter about it. This is why he has no problem plagiarizing and getting thrown out of his own presidential campaign for it. This was Joe Biden's shtick for years and years and years. And it just remains an object of enormous astonishment to me that the media were willing to go along with this narrative that Joe Biden was a decent elderly fellow who truly cares about people like you. What is the evidence of any of this? By the way, when people are truly dishonest with other people, like on a routine basis, that is a sign of narcissism. It means they don't care about you. This is true in personal relationships and it's true in politics. When people lie to you regularly, it means they don't respect you. It means they don't treat you as a normal human being. Because if they treated you as they would wish to be treated, presumably they wouldn't want to be lied to. But Joe Biden doesn't care about that. Okay, so later yesterday morning, Joe Biden tried to walk all of this back. He tweeted out, as residents of Hawaii mourn the loss of life and devastation taking place across their beautiful home, we mourn with them. Like I've said, not only our prayers are with those impacted, but every asset we have will be available to them. Here's the latest. And then he says that FEMA temporary sheltering assistance is now available for residents who are displaced from their homes by the wildfires, allowing survivors to shelter in motels or motels temporarily as they develop a long-term housing plan. And then, guys, they're laser focused on getting aid to the survivors, including critical needs assistance, a one-time $700 payment per household offering relief during an unimaginably difficult time. $700 per household? Now, far be it from me to suggest that we should just throw bags of cash at people, but if the idea here is that you have a federal crisis that necessitates a federal response, $700 a household? That's not even going to pay for like 2 weeks of groceries for your family in Joe Biden's America. $700 is not going to do it. You know the amount of property damage that was done to Lahaina? $5.6 billion in property damage done to Lahaina. $700 doesn't even begin to scratch the surface. We sent like $115 billion to Ukraine. And even if you think that's a good expenditure of defense money, you got to start asking yourself, why $115 billion of aid to Ukraine and like less than $2 million to the people of Lahaina, which is what that would amount to because there aren't that many households in Lahaina. And then Biden says, we're making sure all residents receive critical information so they can take steps forward to move forward in their recovery. This includes translating materials into the most common languages spoken in the... Oh my God, you mean they're actually going to translate government materials into foreign languages? Wow. Oh, the sacrifice. Oh, the amazing on-the-ground nature of all of this. I mean, he's lounging at the beach, and we're supposed to believe that he gives two damns about this? Of course he doesn't. Joe Biden, as always, cares only about Joe Biden. Are you tired of the lies and the twist of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.